Trust me, you're going to want to check out this brand new background slash collage paper technique. I'm calling it the frosted napkin technique. It's really easy and great effects. So I started doing it and I was going to use napkins background or focal for a background. I grabbed the napkin and I thought, you know what? There's a little bit more to this. It's kind of a two-step process that I'm going to walk you out. So instead of calling it just using a napkin, I'm going to call it the frosted napkin technique. I'm coining that phrase and, well, see if you agree with me. So I've grabbed a napkin that I love the colors of. It's kind of got all over color pattern. And I'm going to glue that down onto my page, my project to get the all over color. So this is step one. Basically, remove the excess plies and glue it down with fluid matte medium. Couldn't be much easier, right? So I'm just putting on the fluid matte medium and gluing it down. Now this page was gessoed, but that really is unnecessary. Although in my mini composition book, the extra layer of gesso gives the page some substance. So I'm just gluing that down, cutting off the excess, and then putting a coat of the fluid matte medium on top to give it a non-porous surface. Now, if I was just using this as a background, I'd leave it at this and then build on that. But here we're going to add one more step, which is going to turn it into the frosted napkin technique. So here you're going to grab a stencil, a nice all over pattern. Now, I use gesso, but I switch it up afterwards and use white acrylic paint. Depending on your gesso, you may get the level of opacity that you want or not. So again, with variations in all the types of gessos that you can have, you may want more. So this, using my gesso, is giving it a softer, more frosted look. Using the white acrylic paint gives it a more opaque look. No right or wrong here, just a matter of which you prefer, and you can vary that up depending on what effect you want. So there I've switched it up. I've actually wiped off the gesso with a baby wipe and applied white acrylic paint. And now I'm going to do the same to the other half. Now this is in a composition book. It doesn't lie flat, so I'm not going to get it as perfect. If you were working on a art journal page that you can take out of the coils or out of the book, it's just a little bit easier to maneuver. So I'm giving you one idea here, and I'm going to do this again with a different stencil and a different napkin, just so you get a little bit more of an idea of what can happen here. So this is what I'm calling frosted. You're kind of putting that white on top of it. All you're getting from the napkin here is the colors. So here's the original napkin, and here it is being frosted. I love, love, love the effect. Now, let's do it with a different napkin. Here's another napkin. Both of my napkins come from NINNYSNAPKINS.com. A nice overall color here. I like the colors, but you know, this is a great place to use those napkins that you really don't know what to do with, but you do like the colors. And here I'm just putting on white acrylic paint with a makeup sponge. And here I'm not even covering all of it. I'm doing some places I'm not actually even putting paint, and that's going to give a slightly different effect. You could cover it completely, like I did the art journal page in my mini composition book, or do pieces of it like I'm doing here. Again, no right or wrong, slightly different effect. Change it up depending on what you are doing. Do as little or as much white stenciling as possible. So here's the idea. I'm giving you the idea of using white acrylic paint on a napkin. You change it up. Experiment with different napkins. Experiment with different stencils that you have. And see what works. You could even do it with different stencils, which would give different patterns on the same background. So here, this is just a napkin, and I'm going to use this napkin as a collage paper. I could rip it apart, use bits and pieces. I could use it to cover the entire back. Now, because it's a napkin and it's porous, it's going to bleed through like you see here. So if you put it on packaging or, you'll have to take the time to clean it up. So there's the one that's frosted and there's the original. Two very different effects and starting points. So now that we know the technique of the frosted napkin technique, let's finish this page. Because I always like to see how those techniques work on a page. So here I'm just edging it with my black acrylic paint and my angle brush and black paint. I think I did. Then I want to add a little bit more interest, a little bit more stamping. So I grabbed, one of my favorite texture stamps with black acrylic paint that I'm pressing on with a makeup sponge. And I'm just adding that little fine patterning. Remember, the background technique is just the first step or the second step, right? Actually, I guess the stamping is third. Napkins first, frosting second, and now the stamping third. And remember, art journaling, mixed media, it's all about building those interesting layers. So when someone looks at it, they go, she do that? I'm excited to go through my napkins, especially those napkins that I may not be using for a focal image or I've used already for a focal image and now I don't need more. I don't need to store them. I can turn them into these frosted napkin collage papers or Insta backgrounds or Jumpstart backgrounds. Insta background means they're pretty much good to go. Here I'm adding some script stamp as well. Another fine detail. I look through my bin of focal images, things that I have collected over time, and I just keep throwing them in the bin. And I like these birds. It kind of fits, but I want to give them a little bit more weight, some substantial, give it a little bit more, make it more substantial. So I'm going to mount them on a circle. So I grab my Fiskars circle template, grab my Inktense pencil, and I think this is a blue, I'm just drawing the line. And then I'm going to use my angle brush, activate that Inktense pencil so that you can see that circle come out. Now, this is another technique. In the technique tidbit videos, I focus on one technique, but that doesn't mean that I'm only using the one technique. This one will probably show up as a technique tidbit down the road. It's one of my favorite ways of adding weight and substance to a focal image, how to set off a focal image on a page. You can see how that kind of shaded around the circle. And then once that's dry, I'm ready to glue down my birds. Now, the Inktense pencil is like watercolor in that it's water activated, but it's ink. And when it's activated and dried, it is permanent. So now that I'm adding wet on it, it's not reactivating. Just like acrylic paint, when it's dry, it doesn't reactivate. And that's my preferred way, color mediums to use. And I don't have to worry. Here are my Inktense blocks, and I want to beef up the color on the birds. So I'm using my swatched out area and I'm just adding pretty much the same color, same blues, same yellows, browns that are already on there and just turning up the intensity a bit because I want the focal image to stand out against the background. I'm not really changing it here, although at times you can do that. I could have turned the bird into a teal if I wanted to. I could have made it more orange than less yellow if I wanted to with a wash of colors. And I'm using the Inktense blocks here because they are fairly translucent. But you can water down acrylic paints and get a similar effect. You just have to learn how to manipulate the acrylic paint. Here I'm just brightening up the whites on the birds. What's your favorite technique? Share it with me in the comment section below. Also, let me know if you like these technique tidbit videos. Do you want me to do more? And I'm just working, adding more color, letting it dry, making a decision. Here I'm just adding a little bit of yellow into the background. I just want it a little bit more. There was only one spot with yellow, and I wanted to tie it in with the yellow that's on the bird. So just giving it a little bit of wash. Here I'm using my angle brush and I'm just adding a little bit of shading on the body of the bird. Again, the goal being to make the bird stand out. Then I decided I'm going to add another circle. And I almost regretted doing this because it limited me with when I chose the sentiment. I think I could have gotten away without having it, but you know what? No foul. It's just, when you do it, then you know. I grabbed a whole bunch of sentiments. These are just leftover bits and pieces, and I thought maybe I could find one that fits in here. But here I find, that one's too big, that one's too big. I was limited to what I could use because I had put the circle down. So I ended up finding the one, I think it was from the Short and Sweet Sentiment Pack, Lift Your Spirit, and it fits perfectly in that circle. You can make it work. You can make anything work. Grab my fine line applicator with gold and I'm outlining it with gold. This is tying in with the yellow that's on the bird, that's on the background, just adding a little bit of bling. I realize as I'm going here, my gold paint, it has been in the container for a while. I need to empty it out. It's kind of clumping a little bit, clogging, and I've had to stop several times and clear the nozzle, and that usually is a sign that it's time to dump out the paint, remix it, but it lasts a long time in the fine line applicator bottle. So there is the frosted napkin technique. Is that a good name for this? Have you seen this technique? Here's the napkin, the other example that I did where this is just a collage paper now. If you like this technique, let me know in the comment section below. And I really, really hope you give it a try. Warning though, it's slightly addictive. Until next time, go get creative.